Good morning. This is Ms. Billerbeck, and I'm going to clarify something on section 3.1 about classifying relations and functions. So a function is one-to-one if no two elements of the domain map to the same element of the range. Well, that's kind of hard to understand, huh? So this is what mapping is. So if we see that our domain elements, this element is mapping to 2. And this element 5 is also mapping from the domain to the range of 2. So it says no two elements of the domain map to the same element. So because these two map to the same element in the range, then this function is not one-to-one. However, if we have a situation where we have 3 mapping to only 1, 5 mapping to only 2, and 6 in the domain mapping only to 4 in the range, then we have a one-to-one function. So let's take a look at exactly what this would look like. So if we have a relation, one element of the domain maps to 2 elements of the range. So we don't know if we choose 3, if we're going to have an output of 6 or an output of 7. So that's not really a function, it's just a relation. So on this one, we have an element from the domain mapping to 0 and an element of the domain mapping to 0 as well in the range, but for every x, there is only one y. For every input, there is only one output. So for every input, it only has one output. That is the definition of a function. So this input has 2 outputs, so it's a relation. So a function would look like this, where if we take a vertical line, that vertical line only hits that curve one spot, one point as I move the vertical line across the curve. If it passes the vertical line test, it's a function. So when we pass it through this one, we also have a function that passes the vertical line test. But why is this one one-to-one and this one's not? Well, there's also a horizontal line test. So if we take the horizontal line test and we start that, we see that this ruler only hits the function, the one-to-one function at one point. And then as we move here, we notice that the function, the one that was not one-to-one, is now hitting in 2 places. And as we move further down, it hits in 2 places again. So that's what makes one a function and one a one-to-one function. So as we look carefully at the one-to-one function, it only hits the curve once. So it passes the horizontal line test. But because the other one that is just a function has a bit of a bell shape, see how it hits twice on the horizontal line test? So when we get to inverse functions, we couldn't get the inverse of this function as it is. We'd have to break the function up into one-to-one sections. This one is already broken up into a one-to-one section, so you could find an inverse function for that, but that's for Algebra 2. So just so you know. Have a great day. Bye-bye.